for another weekly wrap-up. I just uploaded my last weekly wrap-up this morning, and I wanted you guys to let me know what you thought, whether I should include regular books with my weekly wrap-ups, or if I should just keep it to the comic/trades graphic novels. So I'm going to repeat that again. I know that I have like 300 plus subscribers, and I know the sad reality is that maybe 15 to 20 of you guys actually watch these videos. So if you're one of those people who watches these videos, please let me know down below what you think and whether I should include regular books with this weekly wrap-up or not. Anyways, we're going to start out with the first book I've completed for this week, and that is Ultimate X-Men Volume 17. I used to really love this series. If you're not familiar with Ultimate X-Men and what the Ultimates line was, I say was in the past tense because Ultimates were something that was started in the early 2000s, and they recently ended the lineup, I think, around like 2010, somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit later than that, they ended that line. It was a great line. What it was a reimagining of like some of the popular Marvel titles. Like they did an Ultimate Spider-Man, they did Ultimate X-Men, they did Ultimates, which were supposed to be the Avengers, and that was the first time we saw Nick Fury as, you know, black or African American. So it was a lot of cool changes. They made a lot of modernized, more contemporary like feel to the books, and I absolutely loved it. I thought, and like Ultimate Fantastic Four was another title. They were really, really great, and then they did this epic like conclusion to the series, went downhill from there. But these were like the heyday of when these books were good, and I absolutely loved Ultimate X-Men. I thought they were really cool and radically different. Well, anyways, this one involves like the origin of the Sentinels in the Ultimate X-Men universe. We see that Bishop is trying to recruit a new X-Men team with some unlikely people on this team, like Pyro, who's usually a Brotherhood of Mutants guy, is on this team. There's a secret twist reveal at the end as to who Cable really is, because there's a twist with this Ultimate X-Men Cable, and there's something going on with Bishop and some of the other X-Men. So it's kind of, this made for an interesting read. It kind of, you know, was exciting, was entertaining. The artwork is great, and this is written by Robert Kirkman, who does The Walking Dead. I've read a lot of Robert Kirkman's stuff. A lot of it I just thought was okay, but when he writes something like this, it's great. I love this. I thought he did a good job with this story. Well, anyways, there's like a whole like mystery behind the Mutant Liberation Front and all that involves a tie to the Sentinels. And just for the pure, like, you know, suspense building, this was a great story. So I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you are an X fan, please check out Ultimate X-Men. Not the new stuff, but the older stuff. It's worth reading if you are an X fan. Next up we have Harley Quinn Hot in the City. This is Volume 1. This is the new 52 Harley Quinn. I have read Harley Quinn before. It was a different incarnation of this book series, but it was just, I really didn't get the jokes the last time I read the book. I thought it was really cheesy, kind of super silly. It just wasn't my thing. Well, anyways, this one starts out, they've got a whole new team working on this. There are so many artists who participated in this book, and that's going to be one of the things I talk about, because like the first story starts out, of course we all know Harley Quinn, she's crazy or whatever because she hooked up with the Joker, and the Joker threw her into the same chemicals that made him who he is. Well, anyways, because she's crazy, she's kind of self-aware that she's a comic book character, and the first story starts out with her daydreaming about how cool it would be if she had a comic book based on her, and she interacts with the writer of the comic book, and helps choose who should draw her book. So that's why there's just a variety of different art styles. In the beginning, you'll see like different ways that she's been drawn over the years, and I thought this was like the best part of this whole book, was just seeing these different, you know, illustrations of Harley Quinn. I thought it was really cool. It was really great. This made me think this was a 4-star book until I got to like the middle of the book, and you're introduced to this senior citizen Jewish like ex-assassin, and there's all these like Yiddish like jokes that were just so lame. I mean, like, I don't get it. Why do you throw in like jokes that your general population isn't gonna get? Like, not everybody's Jewish, not everybody knows Yiddish, so why throw these in there? You just ruined a totally good volume by throwing in this lame-ass character. He's called Cyborgman, and he was called Cyborg or something at one time, and she helps him try to kill these Soviet spies. So that really ruined it for me. It made me think it dropped my rating down by 1 star, so I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars, just because that was like a majority of the end of this volume, whereas it had a great start. But then once they threw in that with the lame Jewish jokes, it totally lost me. Next up we have All-Star Western Volume 1, Guns in Gotham. I have to admit that I have never read any Jonah Hex books before, but being that it is a new 52 title, I just had to check it out. So, if you're not familiar with who Jonah Hex is, he is a bounty hunter who's supposed to be really hard and ruthless. And I don't know too much about him. I just know that he's kind of a gunman, like Wild Wild West type character. Well, anyways, he ends up in Gotham looking for these killers. He's got a bounty out on him, and ends up meeting some of Gotham's past people, like Dr. Arkham. He meets a Cobblepot, and he meets the Waynes. So this was just okay. I mean, I'm not too big on westerns. I do enjoy watching westerns, modern western movies once in a while. So it was okay. It does have action and adventure, and if you're into westerns, I would definitely check this out. The artwork is pretty nice. But anyways, I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It was okay, and I can see why they didn't continue on with this series, because it isn't anything spectacular. Next up we have Southern Bastards, Here Was a Man. This is volume 1. This is an Image Comics comic, and it is mature readers only. I absolutely love this. At first it was very slow to start. It does have its own unique type of artwork. And this is one I don't think that's trending in BookTube, but this is trending with comic book readers. Well, anyways, this guy, he hasn't been home. It takes place in Alabama, in some county, Craw County, I think. It's kind of a crime, but it's kind of, they don't really reveal what's going on 100%, but this guy goes back to his old town. His father had passed away, and he has to pack up his house and all that stuff, and finds out there's something shady going on, and figures he should make it right. And it really ends on a cliffhanger, which really made me want to read the next book. So I thought this was a very enjoyable book. This is one that I rated 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you're into like Southern crime, like sort of like In the Heat of the Night, I compared this on my Goodreads edit of the review. I said that it was In the Heat of the Night meets Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs or something like that. It's very edgy kind of, but very Southern feel to it. Like, they even have a recipe for fried apple pies somewhere in the back. Okay guys, I think this is where I'm going to wrap up this week's graphic novel wrap-up, because I've only got 2 more books to share with you guys that I've read this week, and I really don't think I'm going to be able to finish the next one in time to, you know, add it to this weekly wrap-up, so I'll just add it to the next following week. Well, anyways, the next book that I finished reading after the last was Forever Evil. This is a New 52, and this is the continuation of the Crime Syndicate storyline that was going on in Justice League. As far as we know, we didn't know what happened to the Justice League, but there were these evil alternate versions of them called the Crime Syndicate that had appeared in the New 52's universe, and they were looking to take over any world. I really love these alternate versions of these well-known Justice Leaguers. I thought it was really cool seeing these and seeing how radically different they were. This just made this story for me. The artwork was fantastic, and the imaginings of how these different characters play out, and how, like, the villains of the New 52 are not really sure whose side they should be on, so that also made for another fascinating and cool, interesting twist. If you are into Justice League or the New 52, I think you should definitely check out this book. It was one that was very entertaining, and one that I gave 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was a pretty good read. It wasn't a 5-star book. I mean, it did have some downsides to it. Like, sometimes, like, they showed the ring that the alternate Green Lantern wears, and his name is Power Ring. Well, he got killed, not trying to spoil it for you guys, but his ring went out and they never showed who it went to. So it would have been cool to have seen who got his power ring, or if it went to another dimension, what happened to it. I would have liked an explanation as to that. That was just one of the plot holes. And the last book for this weekly wrap-up is Deadpool Dracula's Gauntlet. Now this one, they don't show Dracula all that much in the Marvel Universe, so, you know, when you do get a chance to read something that's got Dracula in it, you think it's going to be spectacular, you're hoping it's going to be great, and yes, this features the new Deadpool writer Brian Posehn, so I was hoping that this was going to be just as good as the first volume, Volume 1, that I just read and reviewed like maybe a couple weeks ago. So I had a lot of high expectations for this, and I do know that in the comic book community, this book is kind of trending right now. People really want to read it just because it features some of Marvel's more darker characters, and I thought that was kind of cool, but it just didn't live up to the hype of Deadpool Volume 1 that was written by Brian Posehn. This one, I felt it was kind of meh, it was just okay, it was really average, and Deadpool gets married. Surprise, surprise. But if you're really into Deadpool, you might want to check this out, but don't think it's going to be all that great, because really, and all in all, I thought it was a 3 out of 5 star book. It was just plain average. So yeah, I've been having a really crazy week. It is nearing the end of the semester. I've piled on with work, so I'm trying to read what books I have from the library, trying to keep up with doing my YouTube and my other stuff. So yeah, questions, comments, as always. If you guys have read any of these, let me know what you thought of them, if you have read them, or if you're anticipating on reading any of these great books that I showed. I think I represented a lot of 4-star books in this weekly wrap-up, and I'm always going to try to share with you guys the books that I think are really cool. And it's not going to be based on what BookTube is showing, but it's going to be based on a comic book person's interests in reading comics. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, later guys.